Hey guys, Optimus Futures here, back with another Investor RT video. And in today's short video, we'll be showing you how to adjust the viewing period of a chart. So first up, we'll need to open up a chart. To do that, head to the top left of the platform window, and in the toolbox here, click on the Open Chart button. Now from here, you can select your desired chart type, as well as the style of your chart. For our example, we'll be selecting a multi-pane chart with the candle chart style. Once you selected that, you'll click on the New button and you'll open up the chart wizard. Now, if you decide to, you can actually change the chart type right here in the top left. We can change our window size in the top right. And more importantly, we can change the periodicity right here. So if we click down the drop-down menu, you can see how we can select the different time intervals. There's by 100 tick bars, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, and a whole lot of different options. If you're interested in this, you can click on this yourself and see, or you can just take a look, pause the video, and see the options here. As for other settings that we should make note of, there is a ticker symbol. Since we do trade futures here at Optimus Futures, we'll be selecting future. And we'll be selecting a pretty popular contract that we see many of our traders trading, the E-mini S&P 500. Ours will be of September 2018. And it is possible to also put multiple instruments if you click on this checkbox, and you can separate them by comma. That way you'll have multiple instruments on one chart. But for now, we'll just be doing one. Any other settings are simply personal preference, and once you have everything set up, click on the Apply button. Alright, so now that we have our chart open, we can proceed with adjusting the view period. And we have a couple options here. First up, we have the cog in the top left-hand corner of our chart. As you can see, I'm currently highlighting over. Or just to the left, there's the same symbol. Both of these will open up the chart preferences window. As you can see, by left-clicking, it'll currently bring up the window. And although mine is selected, yours may not be, but we'll need to go to the period tab. So if it starts off on general, make sure you go over to period. Now this is very important. I briefly touched on it while we were going through the original chart settings, but periodicity does play a huge role when adjusting the view period of a chart. So for each new chart that is open, it will have a default viewing period based on whether the chart's periodicity is using tick data, minute interval data, or daily, weekly, month data. So you can go back and change these settings using the setup, and then you'll go into charting in multi-pane as we did before. And then you could select your period tab there. That way it'll allow you to view or edit the number of days that will be set up by default for new charts that we create. As you can see, I've shown you another way to go back in here and adjust the periodicity settings. But for now, we'll keep this at 5 minutes. So I mentioned we will be keeping it a 5-minute periodicity currently. But I just want to show you how extensive the Printz Preferences tab gets here. If we click on the drop-down menu, you'll see how much more detailed it is for your periodicity. It also does let you know here that if you see a star behind the periodicity that you have chosen, there will be no white space. So if you prefer to see some white space in there, you can click one of the other options. As you can see, there is a 1 minute interval with the star, so there is no white space, but there's also one without a star, so you'll get some white space on that chart. Now over here on the right, we have our intraday settings, and you can also adjust these as well. As you can see, currently we have it on time per bar, but if you want to, you can adjust it to ticks per bar. And that way you can adjust how many ticks are showing per bar on our chart. We can also do it for range per bar, change per bar, volume, point and figure, or Renko. But for now, I'm just going to be keeping it on time per bar. And you can actually adjust the time per bar here manually. As you can see, I can just highlight, delete, and then manually input it in there. There's also 15-second intervals here, and then it starts to increase as you get further in time. And we can also change the layout. Right now, it's currently on 233 minutes and 0 seconds, but we can turn that into days, weeks, months, quarters, or years. Like I said, for now, we're going to just keep this as it is. All right, moving on from periodicity, we'll move to the tab right below this. and it's labeled EPU8. This is how we actually adjust the viewing period of our charts. Now by default and for most charts, it will automatically set to the last 120 days. You can adjust this to make it 120 bars as well, but we'll keep it on days just to keep it for actual time. So now we have a couple more options here, as you can see. We have the 120 days ending setting, and we can actually give an end date to when we want our last date to be. So we can select whatever date we wish. We can start from today, yesterday, a week ago, a month ago, and it'll automatically go 120 days back. Now it's also possible to do begin to present, and this will start from the very first day on the contract. So we can select what starting date we want to go to. We could do the beginning of the year, for example, and that will actually start a periodicity from the very starting date of the year all the way to present. And it's also possible to do begin to end. And this way we can set our own parameters. We can select the very starting date if we want to, and then we can go to current date or to whatever date we specify. This is how you adjust the viewing period of a chart. It's really all personal preference and how you want. As you can see, if you do the begin to end option, you can actually do offsets of the durations, and that way you can get a little bit more specific. As for other adjusting the viewing periods on a chart, it's also possible to change the chart session. So right now, this chart is applied to the Globex time session. As you can see, we have a bunch of different other time sessions here. Many of them do run on the same time scale, but it is always possible to go in and, for example, if you need to see overnight time sessions or possibly the Asian sessions or just any other time session than the one that comes default with your chart, it is possible to adjust it right here. As you can see, just for some other quick settings that I would like to mention, although they're a little off topic, you can also adjust the right margin. So if you need some space in between your right margin and the actual ending of the chart here, you can expand that here. And finally, you also have a look ahead period. That way you can look ahead a bit of the current date. And you can adjust this by bars. If you click on the drop down menu, as you can see, you can go all the way up to a 100 bar look ahead period. Once you have selected all the settings to your liking, simply click on apply and then OK. And as you can see, the settings I have chosen for my chart have absolutely broken it. If your viewing period and your periodicity don't adjust up correctly, it will turn the chart into a static chart. This isn't necessarily a problem if you are attempting to look at far back historical data. But in my case, since I am attempting to trade currently and happen to wanting to be trading on live right now, I'll probably need to close this out or adjust some of my periodicity settings. That way it goes back to a live updated chart. But it's just worth noting that if your settings aren't up to par or lined up correctly, it will potentially make this a static chart, and trading on it is not recommended. Thanks for watching. If this video helped, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to give us a call or send us an email. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more informative content related to the futures market.